can we say? We love you. Many of you know that, how's this? Is this good? Closer. Many of you know that my beloved brother Richard died the day after Pesach. And I remember when Rabbi Jeremy asked me, what are you going to do about April 29th? And my response was, and you probably thought it was a little bit strange, I said, well, I'm going to consult with my parents on how. Because their wisdom actually leads me and guides me almost every day. And I consulted, and the consensus was, very wisely, seize every opportunity to celebrate life with good friends, with community, and with family, and with the blessing of 5 grandchildren in birth order: Joshua, Michael, Talia, Boaz Eliezer, and Ziv Pella. We are thrilled. We are thrilled to share this moment with you.
The very first time that I entered the magnificent sanctuary of Anshe Chesed, I was a student in the rabbinical school. I had recently come to New York City from Sioux City, Iowa. I wore my best suit. I'll never forget. Gray with yellow pinstripes and a red string tie. I thought that was pretty elegant. On the bima sat the president of the congregation and the other officers. They were all wearing morning coats, pinstripe pants, and tall silk hats. They looked pretty elegant too. Many years have passed since then, many years, and a great deal has changed in my life. To begin with, one of the conditions of my marriage to Nava was that I send my yellow pinstripe suit back to Sioux City. Upon ordination, my beloved friend and colleague, Rabbi Wolf Kalman of blessed memory, invited me to join the staff of the Rabbinical Assembly, and he put me to work translating and editing prayer books. Never would I have imagined on that first visit to Anshe Chesed that one day my Machzor and Sidur would be acquired and used by that congregation. That too has changed. During the years when the membership of Anshe Chesed dwindled, it was Wolf Kelman and a small group of visionaries who devoted themselves to rebuilding and reimagining this congregation. And they did. Would they ever have imagined that on most Shabbatot, I am among the very few nonconformists who insists on wearing a suit and tie to services? Gone are the top hats and the pomp and circumstance that were so impressive and so important during those early years. What remains is a commitment to our sacred tradition in all of the services that take place on Shabbat mornings. Minyan Ma'at on the 5th floor is where Nava and I call home. And it is to Minyan Ma'at that we indeed are very deeply grateful for the sense of community that it has provided for us. After most of our seminary community now resides in the Olam Shel Emes. Ashreinu, Ashreinu, Ma Tov Chelkeinu, Ma Na'im Goraleinu, Uma Yafa Yerushatenu. We are blessed. How good is our portion, and how pleasant our lot. How beautiful our heritage.
Rabbi Jules and Nava Harlow the day I was born. Honestly, I can't say it was very memorable for me, but for them, it was a life-changing experience. But I haven't been asked to speak as their daughter, but rather as a gematriologist. As gematria, as many of you know, is a numerological system whereby each letter in the Hebrew alphabet is assigned a numerical value. And when words with equal values are discovered, they are considered to reveal deep meaning and cosmic truths. So, as a rudimentary, introductory example, my parents have been members of Minyan Ma'at and the Anshe Chesed community for 28 years. Since in Gematria, 28 is the numerical value of the Hebrew word koach, strength, we know it is no coincidence that it is in their 28th year here that we have gathered to wish them a communal Yasher Koach. Pirkei Avot, Ethics of the Fathers, teaches, Ezeu mechubad hamchaved et habriot, who is honored? The one who honors humanity. As both a patient representative and a medical ethicist, my mother has honored humanity by advocating for the dignity of hospital patients and for their right to self-determination. And her compassion and wisdom have helped countless patients and their families make some of the most difficult decisions of their lives. She also has spent countless hours outside work advising friends and community members on issues that fall within her purview. She chose a path of chesed, of gracious acts of kindness, for her professional life. As you know, my father's life work has been as a liturgist, crafting prayer books with English translations that help non-Hebrew speakers access the same feeling and experiences as conveyed by the poetic Hebrew original. He has facilitated their encounters with the divine. It should come as no surprise, therefore, that his Hebrew name, Yosef, Gematria 156, has the same numerical value as Ohel Moed, the part of the tabernacle that facilitated encounters with the divine when we were in the desert. One of the things I admire most about my parents as a couple is that while they each have their own pursuits, they also function as a true team in almost everything they do. When my mother spent hours upon hours needle-pointing the atara, the collar of my father's tallis, and my brother David's tallis bag, sitting on the grass outside my parents' bunk during their summers working at Camp Ramah, my father sat beside her and read to her Sir Richard Burton's translation of 1001 Arabian Nights one summer, and another summer read her Shakespearean sonnets. When my father translated and edited the Siddur and Machzor, My mother made significant contributions, and as my father would be the first to mention, improvements to these works. Also, I remember late one night when my father finished his translation of the liturgical poem Anim Zmiros. His translation has a line for every letter of the alphabet in English as it does in Hebrew, and it follows the same meter and rhyme scheme as the original. And as soon as he finished it, he brought it into the dining room to show my mother, and they spontaneously sang it through from start to finish. My parents also have worked together officially as a team. They led Sidarim for refuseniks in Russia, they led interfaith dialogue in Poland, and they have led a kehillah of descendants of conversos of Bnei Anusim in Portugal. Not only have they been teaching members of the Lisbon kehillah, they have prepared and brought 17 of their students for halachic conversion at the Masoreti Beit Din in London. They also have connected members of the kehillah to Klal Yisrael, to the wider Jewish community, by arranging to send some to experience Camp Ramah, or to learn at the conservative yeshiva in Israel, or to partake at Passover Seders in Madrid. They have made 41 trips to Lisbon so far, always bringing along in their suitcases special treats to eat on Shabbos: butterflake challahs, bagels and lox, Knedlach mix, my mother's famous Shavuos kugel, and the Portuguese favorite, the crowning glory of American kosher cuisine, Entenmann's donut holes. And my parents have also transported ritual objects, many of which were donated by members of the Minyan Ma'at community. I've always been struck by the beauty of them as a couple, having the ability to work on a significant long-term project together. And I also think that it's really cool. Early on in Breshit, in Genesis, there is a word that is difficult to translate. When Eve is created as a companion for Adam, she is called Ezer Kenegdo. This often is translated as a helpmeet. I ask along with you, what is a helpmeet? When I think of my parents, it becomes clear to me that Ezer Kenegdo should be translated as counterpart. My parents are distinct individuals who join together in partnership to create a completeness, a wholeness, like two halves of a circle, which itself is a symbol of wholeness and even of perfection. There are 360 degrees in a circle, and it is no surprise that just as 360 conveys wholeness, 360 is also the gematria of Ezer Kenegdo. The rabbis taught in the Mishnah of Pirkei Avot that 10 things were created at twilight on the 6th day of creation, miraculous divine acts that would come in handy later on in our history. In the Talmud, some rabbis added to this list, and I would venture to add to it the shidduch, the match between my parents. And as with all of his creations that first week, God saw that it was good. Ki tov, gematria 47. Hold on to that for just 1 minute. Another component of my parents' life together that must be mentioned is, as Eric mentioned, jazz. My father loves listening to jazz and is a rather good clarinet player in his own right. My mother knew nothing about jazz when they first got married, but as part of the marriage, got a private tutorial in jazz appreciation. For our purposes this evening, jazz represents not only music, but also represents skillful improvisation and fun, two elements of life which my parents have mastered. As we all know, the Hebrew word for jazz is jizz. Gematria 10. And when you add Yosef, 156, and Nava, 62, to the chesed, Gematria 72, that they do, to the everlasting deep love, ahava, Gematria 13, that they have for each other, to the blessing of this shidduch by God, symbolized by Kitov, Gematria 47, and Jez, Gematria 10, the grand total is 360. Well done. The degrees of a perfect circle, the gematria of Ezer Kenegdo. Tehillim, Psalm 13 declares, Ashir al Hashem ki gamal alai. I sing to God, for He has been good to me. The word gamal, whose shoresh, whose root is familiar to us from gemilut chasadim, the mitzvah of doing acts of gracious kindness, the word gamal can be translated as God's having dealt favorably or even bountifully with us. My parents, doers of gemilut chasadim, always have recognized God's bounty in their lives, and we recognize God's bounty in having them in our lives. And when you add gamal, Gematria 73, to 360, you get 433, which is the Gematria of nsch chesed. So, Rabbi Jules and Nava, who Anshe Chesed have chosen to honor tonight, are gematriologically certified Anshe Chesed. And to honor all of you in this congregation, I would like to point out that it should come as no surprise that 433, the gematria of Anshe Chesed, is also the gematria of mishpacha, family. I know my parents feel blessed to have you as part of their extended family, and we wish this family many more simchas, many more occasions to rejoice together.
Let's have a round of applause. And Nava, please accept this with our